I think it's about time we address the elephant in the room, that Call of Duty Warzone is dying. And the only reason I don't say that it's dead yet is because there's still a community of people that get on every single day, despite running into cheater after cheater, despite having to play against bugs and using the same guns for months on end. They still get on every day. And I was one of those people until a couple of weeks ago when I set the game down, picked up another game, and realized just how bad off that we are. Call of Duty Warzone and the developers of Call of Duty Warzone, truthfully, don't care about the game, and they don't care about the way that you're experiencing it. The only thing that they care about is the number signs coming through in the store. That's why it's been the only element of Call of Duty Warzone that has never been broken. It has always worked. You can always buy bundles. You've always been able to buy bundles. You've always been able to buy blueprints, and everything has worked seamlessly. It's actually the only element of the game that seems to be play tested. Because if they play tested any of the game whatsoever, they would see that there's more bugs in the game than features itself. That there's more cheaters in the game than features or updates. The biggest reason I turned away from the game is because of cheaters. You see, we went a year long without Warzone ranked. And I know what you're saying, I know what you're gonna say in the comments. Duncan, we had Warzone ranked for an entire year. It was just on Resurgence. Doesn't count. Resurgence is a simple game mode that's basically just a glorified team deathmatch. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves here. There's 40 people that spawn in on a tiny map, and for anybody that's actually a good or skilled player, it's not hard to kill everybody and easily secure the win in the game. Even at a high level, even at a high ranking, being that the map is so small, it really isn't that much of a challenge. Actual Warzone ranked is Battle Royale. Actual Warzone is Battle Royale. The initial state of Warzone was a Battle Royale. Resurgence is not a Battle Royale. Even though, yes, the zones shrink, yes, you're surviving till the end, there's an extraction, there's only 40 people on the map. It's not difficult. So for an entire year, they gave us that, and we were forced to just play regular lobbies for Battle Royale. And everything was fine, actually. Everything went great. The problem was once ranked released for Big Map again, or for Urzikstan, for Battle Royale, the cheaters became rampant. And it became pretty apparent really quickly that there isn't an anti-cheat in Call of Duty Warzone, and especially not one that works if there is. Now, they released a Twitter statement essentially saying that their anti-cheat didn't make the mark for the release of Battle Royale. Well, if that's the case, why release the Battle Royale ranked if the anti-cheat isn't there to support it? Doesn't that essentially mean that ranked is going to be just infested with cheaters? And that's exactly what happened. So I was very excited for ranked to come back to Call of Duty Warzone Battle Royale. But in that process, unfortunately, that meant all of the cheaters are going to ranked, which resulted in, first, hardly any cheaters, actually. It was very nice. Games played really well. However, the servers were absolutely awful. Worst desync you've ever seen, most amount of lag, servers, everything was disconnecting. Fights didn't even make sense. You'd get instant deleted in a millisecond, and then it'd take you 3 seconds to down an enemy the next gunfight. Nothing made sense. Nothing was consistent. But the only thing that was consistent in this first couple of days is there weren't any cheaters. It wasn't until after that that it started to happen every other game, and then every game, and then every other game was getting crashed by cheaters. And the ones that you were actually able to play out, when you dropped in, you'd land on a full rage hacking team, you'd die, you'd go to regain. You and your boys would be like, hey, that rage hacking team was over here, let's go land somewhere else. Maybe by the time that they get to us, they'll have died or something, or we'll have some more SR. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but they're also disconnecting the lobbies. So anytime that you kill them, anytime that someone else kills them on the map, anytime that they really want to, they just flip that switch, disconnect the whole lobby, everybody loses SR. So where's the integrity? And what's the point? For me, it came down to, okay, I'm grinding Call of Duty Warzone Battle Royale ranked because I love the game. And I'm continuing to play the game because I love the game. I started playing this game because one of my best friends during the pandemic, who never really gamed before, was at home. And he bought a console and he needed something to do. And he found Warzone and he started playing with some buddies. And he told me, who's been a lifelong gamer, I played just about every game that there is. And I joined and I loved it. And we've been playing ever since. Warzone has brought so many people together, whether it be for competitive, whether it be family members, whether it be friends. It's allowed people to spend time together. And this is what gaming is about. Whether you spend it competitively and you're with a gaming team that really takes it serious and dives in and tries to do better and strives for greatness, or you're in a casual team of people that just want to, maybe drink a couple of beers and just have some fun. It was an option and an outlet for so many people across so many variances of skill level and differences in their goals. But at the end of the day, it's hobby for a lot of people that they just enjoy, and that's how it started for me. The difference is with me, since I've been a lifelong gamer, I only really enjoy a game when I go all in, when I try to be the best I can be, when I strive for greatness and really push myself to the limits. And that's what I did with Warzone. I had multiple world records in Warzone 1. By the end of Warzone 1 Caldera, I had more kills and more games played than anybody else. Now, I can accredit that to the release of Warzone 2 and the majority of the players transferring over, because the couple of players that were above me at that point, they all transferred over to Warzone 2, and I went right back onto Warzone 1 because I liked the gameplay more. But regardless of that, I still strove for greatness. And that's not everyone's thing, but it's definitely mine. I get more enjoyment out of the game when I'm pushing my limits and challenging myself and making myself do better, going for those world records and going for those insane plays and going for the clips. And yeah, you're going to miss some shots and yeah, you're going to fuck up, but eventually you'll get it. And eventually it'll start getting easier and easier, and you'll start doing it all the time. And that's exactly what was occurring. But fast forward up a bit, back to a few weeks ago, I'm loading up Warzone. I've decided that I no longer want to grind ranked. I'm done with ranked. Every game we're running into cheaters, and if we're not running into cheaters, we're running into people that are crashing the lobby, running into bugs. I've literally had my loadouts fall through the map. I've had instances where I've been unable to plate. I've had instances where my gun has been glitched into single fire mode. There's invisible people running around on the map. There's the same meta that we've been using for months now. There's a 100 round XM4 with basically no recoil. The time to kills are ridiculously fast still, and inconsistent. Sometimes you go into a gunfight, you start shooting them first, and then all of a sudden their damage registers and it seems like one tick and you're dead. And you look at the kill cam, totally opposite information. I'm just confused and just shocked where games have changed this, want to have an element for players to become better at. Games have always been this thing where you have people that go head first, they learn all the mechanics, they really study, and those people generally do better than everyone else. And they, when you played a game and someone was better than you, you wanted to figure out why they were better than you and how you could be better. And nowadays we're lowering that ceiling endlessly. That's been the trend with Call of Duty Warzone, has been lowering that ceiling. Letting the bad players have an easier time to kill better players than them. And reducing the overall skill that it takes to actually play the game. Reducing the overall skill that it takes in general, so that players would have less of a chance to outplay other people. Or maneuver. Or outplay whole teams of people. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's obvious that this is something that they've been doing to make the experience better for their casual player base. Because again, the only thing that they're concerned with are those bundles and blueprint sales. And of course, one of their biggest money makers, selling the yearly Call of Duty for $65. which is at this point what most people use to level their guns. They simply get the multiplayer to level up their guns, get their camos, and then when the integration happens into Call of Duty Warzone, they go over to Call of Duty Warzone. There's really, at this point, doesn't make sense why multiplayer is still even alive, in my opinion. Call of Duty multiplayer should have died with the release of Call of Duty Warzone, because it's a way better game in every way. And all those people that wanted to play multiplayer, they had an option for them too. Resurgence. That's multiplayer. And that's exactly what multiplayer is. It's glorified multiplayer. Just another word thrown on top of it. But yeah, I've taken a step over to Marvel Rivals. I've really been enjoying it. I've been so shocked and blown away. I was watching gameplays before I ever gave it a shot, and I'm not into Marvel characters. I don't care about superheroes. I don't care what Iron Man does or Spider-Man. I don't watch the movies. I don't care about the comic books. If you do, awesome. Awesome. I love that for you. But when I looked at it, it just seemed so cheesy because of that. Because of that alone, actually. It wasn't until I played it that I realized, okay, this is really just a better version of the original Overwatch in third person. The release is spectacular. There's hardly any bugs in the game. The game runs fantastic. The character balancing is done well. The characters are made very well. I really have no complaints about Rivals. And you know, one of the biggest parts about Rivals that I've really enjoyed is within that first week of me playing, I ran into one cheater. One. Now we're talking about, just for a second here, on Warzone, going from, I don't know, 30 different cheaters in maybe a 5-hour session to now one in the very first week that I played Marvel Rivals. That's quite the disparity. I run into a cheater in Marvel Rivals. Initially, I thought this player was just really, really skilled. I thought he was just really good. I'm a new player. I don't know any better. I wanted to go back and watch his gameplay. So that's exactly what I did. I went back, and one of the features in Marvel Rivals is a replay system. You can literally go back and watch through all of the games, check through everyone's POVs, and experience the game all over again, essentially. And that's what I did. And I found out that this guy was aimbotting. It was very obvious. There were characters that would, you know, snap in and out of, like, for example, Magic. She has a portal that she goes through. And the moment that she would come out of that portal, his crosshair would lock on her head. And he was just doing that with Hawkeye. And I think he had something like 50 kills or something like that game. And a quick play match. Well, I reported him. And within 30 minutes of reporting this guy, he was banned for 100 years. And when looking into the status of the ban, what kind of ban is it? Is it a hardware ban? Is it an IP ban? It's a hardware ban. And when you run the game, the anti-cheat has to be running in the background. They're doing everything right. That's why this game is blowing up. That's why this game is becoming so successful. Is because they seem to actually care about how their game runs, how their people will experience the gameplay. They want it to be a competitive environment for those that want it to be competitive. They want it to be fun and enjoyable at the same time. And that's exactly what it is. Very well made. The servers feel great. Although I will say the ping is a little bit higher than I'm used to. I think that's something that they're constantly editing and making better. I mean, they quite literally have an option in there to where you can select what server you want to connect to. So if you don't want to connect to servers all over the US, you could just connect to the one closer to you. Ultimately, I've made this video because I've transitioned over to Marvel Rivals. I'm enjoying it way more. I'm hardly ever running into cheaters, and that's my biggest quarrel with Battle Royale on Call of Duty Warzone is cheaters. Honestly, if they just fixed the cheater issue, the game would be so much more enjoyable, even despite the bugs, even despite the server issues. It would just be playable. But at this point, I don't see myself returning unless anything happens in regards to those cheaters, and I don't think anything will, to be quite honest. So yeah, I highly recommend you guys try Marvel Rivals if you haven't already. From a viewer perspective, and as someone that did this as well, it's a little different. There's a lot going on when you're watching. It isn't until you actually get behind the character and start to get the hang of things a little bit that it starts to click and you start to understand the game a little bit. And then it makes that viewing side a lot easier and more understandable. Yeah, so that's where I'll be. I'll be on Marvel Rivals. I've been grinding ranked on Marvel Rivals or competitive, and I've been enjoying it very, very much. I've been solo queuing up within the 2-ish weeks that I played seasons. Not only did I get up to level 10, but I did grind some competitive as well, and I ended up in, I think, Diamond 3. But of course, I did get a late start, so hopefully with this season not only being longer for season 1, but also I got started immediately, I can get up higher in the rankings. Again, I am solo queuing, so it is going to be quite the grind. But I'm not against finding teammates either. So I've joined some Discords. We're going to find some teammates. We're going to try to get grouped up. I'm trying to get some of the boys to play as well. But yeah, if you're interested, you want to play some Marvel Rivals, I highly recommend it. I just have nothing bad to say about the game. I mean, when I think about Call of Duty Warzone, I can say so many bad things. It's almost entirely bad things. But when I play Marvel Rivals and when I'm talking about Marvel Rivals, there's not one single negative thing that comes to mind at all. Really. They're doing a great job, and I have no complaints.